They have a mannequin ass. As soon as they showed his face, I was like, I don't like this guy at all.
If he was a Kamen Rider, would his name be Kamen Rider Hauser?
Jin shooting the tentacle into her. So she gets caught up on what's going on.
Like,
And then we...
Is this podcast a Humagear?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kamen Up Next podcast. I'm your host, a giant robot. As always, with my co-hosts, Jesse.
Hey, oh wait, looks like I'm in the wrong location. 1 second.
Yep. And Nick.
Hey, everybody.
So this week we're talking about 01 episodes 28 to 31. And full disclosure for everybody, we have grossly underprepared. I'm actually the same amount prepared as I usually am, just to throw everybody else under the bus.
Me too, which is 0.
So, I'm gonna be taking the reins on this one this week.
So the first episode we're talking about today is episode 28, right? 28.
Yes. Yeah.
My rap will change the world.
Right. So that's in this episode, the final round of the jobs competition is to see who can win the most votes for a referendum in order to rebuild Daybreak Town to have a place where Humagears and humans can coexist. So Zaya
Get some politician.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a word. Not hire. They enlist the help of a politician. And he then does not have a political Humagear because those are probably not legal. Definitely
They say
not
that
legal.
Yeah.
And so they don't have a political Humagear. What they do have is a Humagear whose name is MC Check It Out. He is a rapping Humagear. So they enlist this rapping Humagear, MC Check It Out, to try to convince the voters to vote for them. Man, this is hard.
I wonder why it is that... Well, it's fine. That's pretty much the premise of the episode. I mean,
yeah, basically.
But you know, I wonder why it is that you can't have like lawmaking politician Humagear when you can have law enforcing, lawyer Humagear.
Well, I guess the idea is they don't want the Humagears making the law, but they can enforce the law. That tracks for me personally. I feel like that makes sense.
I feel like if you could be a lawyer, you should be able to be a politician too.
I don't know.
I mean, politicians are bullshit anyways, right? So
I guess it's the idea of not giving the AI too much power. But it also why is the Zaya spec okay? It makes you as smart as an AI.
Yeah, but you're still a human.
Yeah, I guess.
The thing is that there's a law that Humagears cannot have positions of power.
I would assume.
Yeah. I think they actually mention it in a one-liner, being like, "Well, we're not allowed to have politician Humagears. So this is the best we can."
So they can be lawyers, but they can't be judges.
They can't be anything. A government roles basically.
They can be a police officer, but they can't be a chief or whatever. Those kinds of things.
Exactly.
I remember that at the beginning, there's the politician that Zaya enlists is giving a speech to a crowd about how Humagears are no good and they're dangerous, and
he's super anti.
And everyone in the crowd is just kind of chilling, and some people in the crowd are actually paid to be there by Zaya. Was that
that happened later / in the next episode?
But
okay,
we're going to say we find out that the politicians are super corrupt and being paid off.
Oh no, it was in this episode. Yeah, we find out later that they were super corrupt.
Yeah,
but only after. No, so sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. The politician on Zaya's side is giving a normal speech to the people, and they're like they were like okay with it. They were like cheering, like some of them, and like it was like received well. And then immediately after, we cut to Aruto and Check It Out, who are in the middle of a group of people, and Check It Out breaks into a rap.
A pretty fire rap.
It was pretty good.
There was like one line where he talked about like getting rid of teenage depression that was like out of nowhere, but it's pretty cool.
Also incredibly relevant.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you remember that?
And then Aruto gives an impassioned speech at the end. All of the young people around them are cheering in favor of the Humagears because Humagears are so cool. The vice president, his assistant, I don't know what his position is.
The manager.
About it. The manager are both like they don't get it at first. Like, what do you mean? It's just young people, and it's like, well, yeah, they're young people. There's a lot of them, and they had to like, they had to convince them to come around to check it out, and they still didn't really trust them too much, but it was working. It was working.
They were trying to get him to like wear a suit and
yeah,
be different.
oh yeah, that's it. They were like, you gotta cut your hair, you gotta wear a suit, and Check It Out
Yeah.
wasn't having any of that. He was too free.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I-
he had a lot of like a very strong personality for a Humagear.
Thinking about that episode, I actually wonder if Check It Out had already achieved singularity like the whole time.
He
and
probably
was just,
did.
Like there wasn't a moment in any of his screen time that seemed to suggest that, oh, this is the moment where he gains singularity.
Yeah.
It's just like
He was like the same throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a lot of like, you didn't even see like a lot of processing going on. He just was like thinking for himself.
Everything that he says in rap.
Oh
he
yeah,
speaks,
that's true.
speaks-
Everything is a rhyme.
everything is a rhyme,
He speaks in rhyme.
and he is genuinely like cool. He's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
cool dude.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I'd be friends with him.
Pretty much everyone would. He's just a magnetic personality. When he shows up and he
Yeah.
gives his like initial rap, like Izu's there too, and even Izu's just like kind of jamming along.
She's got like merch on for
Yeah.
MC Check It Out. She's super into it.
Yeah. I think Aruto's face when he was like watching Izu there was also like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, he was shocked.
It was
when
great.
Izzy was like,
Yeah, he's
jamming
like,
out.
easy, what are you doing?
We did forget before all that happened. I forgot to mention that we have a scene in Guy's office where he's talking to Yaiba, of course, and he hands her a raid riser.
She actually
And a-
gives
and a
him
key.
Yeah, she gives him her dashing cheetah key.
Yeah,
And
and she
missed
gets
that.
her.
Yeah. So she
Okay.
gets a demotion basically. I mean, she goes down from
It fe-
common
yeah,
rider
to raider.
yeah.
Gross.
And
Yeah.
I think in this episode is also where it starts diving into like the subplot of what's happening with Fua.
Yes, but I think that's
Yeah,
like a
it's-
little bit later.
Yeah, it's like soon after that.
Oh yeah,
She gets
it's
the raid riser?
directly after the rap interlude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
after
like-
she gets the raid riser, Fua kind of like bursts into the office. No.
no, not yet.
No.
I think first is when he's like, it's like raining and he was walking around like kind of freaking out, and then Jin shows up.
No, that's also later. It's in the next episode.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure like he gives Yua the raid riser, and then we get the whole kind of abrupt plot revelation because Fua comes in and confronts Guy about the whole.
Fua confronts Guy in this one. Yes,
He's like, "Hey, you guys are responsible for the whole like raid riser thing."
yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Right.
yeah, outside. Yeah, he goes to ask him about the raid
Yeah.
risers and everything. You're right.
And then they start fighting, and then that's when Hirobi actually shows up and like helps Fua and fights Guy off.
Yeah, that's
And then
right.
we're like,
Hirobi
why-
protects
That's true.
Fua.
Which is really weird. And then even Fua is like, "Why did you help me?"
My notes don't portray it very well, but he does Guy does reveal to Fua that he has an AI chip in his brain.
That's in this episode.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
what lets him use the Raid Riser to not the Raid Riser, sorry, the Shot Riser to transform. And also so the other thing is it is the AI chip of one of Metsu Bojinrai's members,
Which is Naki.
named Naki, which is how he was able to use the assault grip to transform, because it was only supposed to be able to be used by Metsu Bojinrai members.
It's something that's like foreshadowed, but also revealed really abruptly.
Yeah.
It explains why Hirobi helped him.
It does.
Because he sees him as part of
It
Metsu.
also-
It's actually the will of the. He says it's the arc.
The will of the arc. I don't think Hirobi knows.
But the arc does.
The arc does. So Hirobi at first didn't know that it was Naki, and they found out. I think they all found out at the same time, essentially.
Now I don't know if it's in this episode or in the next one, but I called it that Fua was the one handing out the Raid Risers the whole time, and was the secret Metsu Bojinrai
You called
member.
it way back when it first started. You were like, "Oh,
did I?"
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, it's Fua, and I was like, really trying not to say anything.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, you said it.
Because it was when he was like walking around all weird and being weird.
Maybe, yeah.
And like he kept seeing the person, but they weren't there.
Yeah, I was
pissed.
I called it so hard.
I was so mad
but then,
when you did it.
Then they showed it, and like they showed his face, but it was dark, and you couldn't really tell who it was. So like, is that Fua? Was I right? Did I call it?
Yeah.
And you guys are like, yeah, it's Fua.
It's Fua.
It's Fua.
It does explain the headaches he was having, the fact that he would run off and chase after the cloaked figure and no one else would see it.
Mm-hmm.
It was always just him that was seeing it. And also all the times when Jin and Hirobi would say, hey, it's someone closer than you think.
Yeah. They foreshadowed it for a while.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if this is in this episode or the next one, but obviously Fua is struggling with this, and like he meets Jin, and who wants to separate him.
That's the end
from
of this one.
Yeah, he wants to save Humagears his own way, so he wants to get Naki out of out of Fua some way or the other.
Yeah.
But Hirobi's doing the opposite. And I'm pretty sure he shows up, and Jin's like, "Why are you helping him?" He's like, "It's the will of the arc." It's like, and then Jin's like, "Why don't you want to be free?" But Jin's the one that let him connect back to the arc, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, so Jin is also still kind of trying to figure out.
He doesn't know. Yeah.
He doesn't know what he wants really.
But so also when it comes to Fua, I think if this had happened to him any earlier in the series, it would have been a lot worse. But since he's grown a lot as a character and accepts Humagears, he doesn't totally freak out about the fact that he's got a Humagear in his brain.
But like our villains need to stop giving Fua reasons to get pissed, because every time he gets pissed, it winds up badly for them.
It's like literally local man too pissed to be controlled. He struggles with it for a while.
Yeah, all of that happens in the next episode.
Yeah.
So
in this one, what I wanted to say though, when we were talking about how Hirobi came in and fought off Guy to basically save Fua there for the will of the arc, wasn't it so refreshing to see Kamen Rider Hirobi again?
Oh yeah,
that form was so cool, and the fact that he can go toe to toe with Guy and actually push him back and actually make him like the henchman was like
still 0 power-ups, as strong as Thouser.
Fun.
Zero.
They explain it like the same way as like Evolt, in his like Bloodstock form was just like keeping up with all of our other characters. Like he's just like AI can learn, how to counter your abilities and stuff. So it's just really cool.
So I'm looking at the like Kamen Rider fandom wiki, and at some point, actually I can't tell if the fighting jackal happened or not in this episode, but it does show up at the end screen.
Yeah, it did in this episode. I have it in the notes for this episode.
I don't remember when that is.
So that's I can get to it. I do remember now the series of events. So first, what happens is we are in a I don't know what it is because I don't. It's like a restaurant, I guess. And the politician on Zaya's side is meeting with a bunch of other suited people, presumably politicians, but probably business owners and stuff. And we
Oh,
see him accepting a bribe. I guess it's a bribe. It's a box of sweets, but there's like yen in the box underneath the sweets. And as this is happening, Aruto, Izu, and Check It Out show up and catch them making this transaction. We see like the money flying all over the place. Like it's impossible to deny that this just happened. We have two Humagears who recorded the entire situation. So the next day is the big debate, I guess. It's kind of like a presidential debate.
Okay, wait, but what you're about to say is actually not the first time we see Jackal. Now that I'm thinking, it's Guy
think it
with
is.
like, no,
It
isn't there
is.
a part where Guy's like showing off that that's during
That's
that,
this.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's during the
that is
event.
exactly this.
That was in this episode
Well,
that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
let Zach get to it, but
Yeah.
yeah, Guy's really opportunistic there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I thought that was a separate event.
Yeah. So what happens is at this debate, the Zaya politician does his whole thing. Then it's Hiden's turn. Check It Out. Instead of going by his script, he decides to just reveal that, hey, like I watched this politician accept a bribe. He's corrupt. He's accepting money. He's using paid actors in the audiences of his speeches. Like, he has all of the evidence. The politician in response,
Like, he shows the video.
yeah, he shows all the evidence that he has. The politician just denies it, uses his own evidence, which is a video of him at his office with a timestamp of the time that Check It Out's video is supposed to take place.
Yeah, his doctored Zaya
But it's
spec
like
footage.
clearly doctored. Like, his footage is way easier to doctor than the Humagear's footage.
Well,
Yet somehow,
his excuse was also, you made a Humagear double of me.
yeah,
which is
and filmed
super
these events.
illegal.
which is illegal on its own. He's accusing them of criminal acts, just to get out of it. So that happens. Check It Out gets really upset, and he starts throwing things.
Saying how much humans suck.
Saying how much humans suck and are evil.
He's saying all this shit and how humans like don't deserve whatever to live or whatever, but his eyes are blue still.
Yeah, he's clearly not being controlled by the Ark at all. He's legitimately upset.
I think this was the writer's way of saying that politicians are literally the worst of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And you don't need some like satellite to hack you and tell you that, this is the malice of humanity. It's like staring you in the face. Like, that's like the scummiest scum.
So I think too it reinforces the idea that Check It Out was already had already reached singularity, because what the Ark does is when the Humagear reaches that point, it takes over.
Mm-hmm.
But if he had already reached singularity, then obviously Ark missed its chance, to do that.
Yeah, he was pretty much independent the whole time. Like, everything he did was like his own. Like,
he never took
did not
any
follow
orders.
a single order. He helped Hiden because it was in his interest. But he didn't follow any orders. Every time he was given a script, he didn't follow the script. He was his own.
Yep.
He was his own person the whole time. So
yeah, the only part about Check It Out's like anger that like bothered me was like poor Aruto was sitting beside him and he turns to him and says like, "And I'm sick of you too."
Yeah.
Yeah, Aruto's just trying his best, man.
You're right. I think it's just a moment of he was just like that mad.
He was done.
Even though Aruto was on his side, he just was like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm done with you all."
So then this is when Guy takes the attitude. I think he gives him like a
So what he does is he
he turns it into a Raid Riser advertisement.
He starts telling everybody, "Oh, see, Humagears go berserk. I have this new weapon to defend us against berserk Humagears," and then he has Yaiba demonstrate the Raid Riser.
But like he also gives
Yes,
the
but after
Humagear
she transforms.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and he kind of
Sorry.
he kind of slyly like kicks it over so that like no one really notices.
He that's what he does. He entices check it out with the Zetsume Riser. But so he Yaiba transforms into Fighting Jackal. Her key says hunt. I don't know what the other stuff is. I know the text to speech says deciding the fate of battle like a Valkyrie, which is the first time that, other than Jin calling her Valkyrie once, it's the first time we get like the name Kamen Rider Valkyrie or Valkyrie at all. Like,
too bad she's not technically a Kamen Rider right there.
it depends how you look at it, but yeah, like
I
purely on
wouldn't
design,
consider.
like design alone, there's no Kamen Rider-ness in the helmet or anything. So.
No, but the Fighting Jackal Raider form is quite possibly the coolest Raider form that we've seen.
It's very cool. Her
really
sickle,
slick
her
design.
scythe is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's very fast. She still has the speed advantage.
When she moves with and when she like moves the sickle and stuff, she has like this like energy blade.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
Like it's pretty neat. Like I really like the way that form fights.
It's a
even
cool
though
form. Absolutely. Even though
power-wise,
it's not a
it's
Kamen
probably
Rider.
it's probably a downgrade from Dashing Cheetah because it's not a Kamen Rider form.
I don't think
it's stronger.
power-wise. I'm pretty sure it's stronger.
You think?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It seemed like she was stronger, but we haven't seen her fight in a long time.
It's also hard to tell because she was just fighting like a regular Dodo.
She's fighting Dodo,
Magia.
like pre-evolved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other people she fights are like way too strong for her. So yeah. So
that's pretty much it for this episode. I think
I have Guy sucks always. Every week I have multiple notes that Guy is the worst.
Yeah, he is.
He also gives a speech. He basically is just inciting violence against Humagears.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he wants to sell his.
Yeah.
Is it in this episode that everyone, all the crowd, like starts chanting about how Zaya is great because he turns the crowd against? So Aruto,
yeah, that's
obviously,
what happens. They bring the fight outside.
Yeah.
That's
how the episode ends.
Aruto and Guy fight. Check it out, and Yaiba are fighting. And yeah, Guy manages to turn the whole crowd against Aruto, who's standing there like all he was trying to do was protect his Humagear friend. And the whole crowd is just yelling like that Zaya's right, that Humagears need to go. All this. It was awful. So
Aruto
essentially
just wants to like save Check It Out because he's got Metal Cluster Hopper with the Progrise blade that can actually restore them. So I think his plan was to like fix Check It Out.
Absolutely.
But Bowser wouldn't let him.
Bowser wouldn't let him. He's saying, "See, look, even after this thing's gone berserk, he's trying to protect it."
Oh,
like
yeah, that and so Guy was mega dick also. So he wasn't hitting Aruto. Aruto was doing all of the like actual attacking. And he was like, see, he's just as angry and violent as the Humagears that he makes because Aruto was going on the offense and attacking
that
Guy.
was bad.
Which, I mean, like, sure, but Guy has incited so many fights out of Aruto, like...
Yeah.
But of course, nobody sees, like, Guy's shit. Also, still an actual fucking criminal.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. We did get to see Fighting Jackal's finisher, though, which was the Fighting Bull-Eyed. And that was pretty cool.
Bull-eyed, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
It was nice. Her powers and her suit are pretty cool.
Yeah.
At the very least.
She did wind up disposing of MC Check It Out with that finisher, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Fun fact in this episode, a little filming error is with Hirobi. Apparently, even though after he removed his Scorpion key to use it in the attaché arrow, he still had the key in his Force Riser.
Really?
Yeah.
And like in the next shot, because I saw him take it out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there. I didn't check after that. That's really funny.
We're gonna put Yeah, we're putting an image of that on.
That's really
That's
funny.
That's what the wiki says. Hopefully, he doesn't troll me.
I hope not. So there's then there's the scene at the end of I don't remember how it came about, but Jin is talking to Fuwa, and
Fua's like walking through the rain, like all fucked up, like.
So it's
Having
confirmed
had
that Jin can actually hack into Fua and make him kind of do stuff.
Yeah.
yes.
So
Well, he confirms it there. He's like, "I'm the one that hacked you.
that's
You helped us get
Jin admits to hacking Fuwa, so he's the one who hacked Fuwa presumably into stealing and distributing the Raid Risers.
Yep.
And he basically hacks Fua into meeting him into that alleyway too.
Yeah.
So he says that he actually wants to free Naki, which means probably
killing Fua.
Yeah, killing Fua and
that's
extracting
his
the chip
plan,
in his brain, I guess.
Take the AI chip out, yeah.
And then Hirobi has that really awesome scene where you don't actually even see him; you just see the sword come in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then Jin blocks it with the gun.
With his gun, which was also pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
That was very cool.
He's like, you can't kill him. It's the will of the Ark, bro.
The will of the Ark.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was very cool. Hirobi gets a lot of like cool little moments. He's not like he's a bad guy that's not like eccentric.
I think I like Hirobi a decent amount.
I really like Hirobi. I think his more like reserved kind of performance and nature is like super beneficial, and he gets a lot of these really cool like quiet moments, like slicing at Jin like out of nowhere, coming in and protecting Fuwa for no reason. Like he gets a lot of these cool moments, even though he's not like this big eccentric bad guy, and Guy, who is a big eccentric bad guy, gets no cool moments.
It's also hard to dislike Hirobi for anything he does, because like he's just an AI that's being taken advantage of. Yeah. Like he does what the Ark says, and the Ark was programmed by Guy to be a dick.
He's blindly following his god,
But like he can't really not.
Yeah, he can't defy his programming.
Yeah.
And his
I also get the sense that like he like worships the Ark.
He does kind of worship it like a god in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Because even when he was disconnected from the Ark, he wanted nothing more than to
connect back to it. Yeah,
connect back to it.
Which, like, again, you can't really blame him. It's what he's known. So
yeah, we can. That's the end of episode 28. Why don't I do?
I do have one question though.
Okay, yeah,
go for it.
How the hell did Guy get the AI chip inside of Fua's head in the first place?
Oh, it was. So I think Fuwa knew that he needed the surgery to be able to use the shot riser. I don't think that's the first time that we've heard that.
I don't remember ever hearing it, but it could be a case where he didn't know Guy had anything to do with it.
Yeah,
either that, or it's an Emu situation where he like has no idea and they like fucking drugged him. And
I don't know if we said it because Yaiba also has a chip in her brain to also use the shot riser. Hers is just not a member of Metsubojinrai.
And it kind of explains why she goes with Guy, but also she denies that it impacts her at all, and she's not angry enough to fight it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I was telling you guys. Like, I get that you're pissed off at her, but like she's clearly scared of Guy.
Yeah, but
like I think the problem is that you also like if you didn't have Fua, who was in the same situation and overcame it relatively easily, then
spoilers, but yes.
But you know what I mean, like
but it's fine.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like it's just you have two characters in the same position, one's male, one's female, and the female one gets shit on his.
Oh yeah, I mean the social issues that arise from that. Yeah, it sucks, because she was super cool, but you also have to remember all of the times she was super cool, Guy was not there. She was following his orders and everything, but Guy wasn't around. Now Guy is always around her.
Here's the other thing, though. she would have support from Fua and Aruto and whatever if she went to them. And we see Guy lately get his ass kicked over and over again. Like they could beat him all together
But
if
so,
she stopped helping him.
but she
It's
doesn't.
like-
She doesn't understand the power that. This is her arc. This is her
Yeah.
her character arc is learning that specifically.
Like
She
her,
doesn't, she
'cause
doesn't
of
know
it.
that. What
Yeah.
in her mind, all she's good for is doing what Guy tells her.
Well, that's the thing. It's almost like she's in this like toxic, abusive relationship.
That's exactly what it is. It's
But-
definitely an analogy of that for sure, 100%.
But I feel like her character could be stronger than that, and like the
That
fact
is
that
where
they
it
had
gets
to like
annoying for sure.
yeah, the fact that for 30 something odd episodes we have
It's
you know
been like 10 or 15 at this point. Yeah, we've had lame Yaiba.
it's difficult.
Yeah, no, and like again, I'm not saying like you guys are wrong for being upset or feeling the way that you do about it. I just don't. It's just not, I think, as clear cut as you guys might feel it is.
Well, we
It's-
can get into the next episode and talk about it more because I think
Yeah.
that's like when it really started
Yeah,
to
it's definitely starts in
bother.
the next episode.
Yeah. As far
Yeah.
as like the summary of this episode, I feel like we've covered a lot of the beats and it should be pretty quick. So like episode 29 is called Our Dreams Don't Break. And well, yeah, I think it picks up right in that like fight with Naruto and
Uh,
and
yeah,
Guy?
I think it starts off that way, but so
because that's where it ended.
right. In the way I have my notes laid out, the first thing that happens is Fuwa goes to confront Guy at his office about the
Oh no, I remember how it started actually.
chip.
Jesse's right. It actually where they're still in the crowd and they're fighting, Fua comes in and disperses the crowd by firing into the air. Like we know they're all chanting like Zaya, 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 whatever. He's like, "Pff, get out. This is AIM's business now."
Okay.
And then like everyone dismisses and he's pissed about the whole, hey, you know, I'm not your tool.
Right, okay.
Who are you to put a chip in my brain kind of thing?
I think that's what I wrote by Fuwa
Yeah.
confronts Guy, or what I meant by Fuwa confronts Guy. I think you're right.
But then doesn't Guy like basically force him to
Yeah.
attack?
So yeah,
Naruto?
he hacks him, and like.
Yeah,
Fuwa-
before he
Fuwa,
hacks him though,
like,
he actually he
changes-
tries to like manipulate him first. He says, "Oh, you know what? Swear allegiance to me if you want me to answer your questions."
Oh yeah, and Fua's like hell no, bitch.
Yeah, like, cause why would Fuwa do that? Like,
that's the thing. Like,
there's a reason you
can't-
have this chip in his head.
He basically says, "Who do you think I am, Yaiba?"
Who do you think you are? I
Who do you
am.
think you are? I am. Yeah. So Guy commands Fuwa to attack Aruto. I think that is when we find out that his chip is from Metsubojinrai, because that's what I have written down. So
Maybe.
before that, we just know that he's got a chip and Guy can control him. Now we find out that it's a member of Metsubojinrai and that Guy can control him. He doesn't. I don't think he attacks Aruto. I think they run.
He does.
He
I think he
resists.
runs as he's shooting.
Yeah, probably.
'Cause I remember him. I remember Fua shooting at Naruto at one
That's-
point.
yeah, there's
that's
like a
probably
dual
it.
finisher with like Thouser and Assault Wolf that
Yes.
attack Aruto.
Oh,
and
that's right.
overwhelm
Yeah.
him.
Mm-hmm. That's right. He fights both of them. That's right. And then he just dips. He then lost the ref. Oh, and then we get the results. It's like
Well, there's still like 2 weeks or something before the results. So Naruto's like trying desperately to get votes. Like he's going out.
That is so
Him
sad.
and Izu are trying to hand out pamphlets and stuff, and nobody's taking them.
right. Yeah.
And
Everyone's
then
just like throwing him in the trash.
Fuwa's watching them do this.
yeah, and then after everyone's just shitting on them. They're like,
Yeah.
"Fuck Humagears. Humagears suck."
Yeah.
And then after all that montage, we find out the results that Guy won.
It was like, what was it?
Actually-
65% of people voted, and it was 3%.
62 to 3. Yeah.
Wait.
62 to 3% in favor, or not in favor of referendum.
But guys, before we found out the result of the referendum, there was that like so after the fight, we saw Guy in his back to his office with like explaining everything to you and Fua, right?
That is the scene
And then,
that I'm thinking of, I think. Yeah.
and then like at one point, like Fua and Yaiba like walk out of Guy's office and they're like in like a hallway there and they're talking. And
Yeah.
this was like one of the like points that like really pissed me off is like because they just found out about their brain chips, right? And Fua walks out and says, "Well, is this why you've been such a bitch lately? Because you
And
have
she-
like a chip in your brain
Yeah.
because you're like his tool and you're forced to do it."
And she
Yeah,
says,
And
no,
she
I'm
just
not a
says,
tool.
"No,
yeah, I'm not a
doing-
tool.
Yeah.
She's
I do this
for
she's
my
in
own good.
denial. Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes hand
It
in
was
hand with
bad.
everything. It feels bad, but she's
But
just
she's
in
also-
denial of what's going on.
She's
trying to
also
convince
clearly
herself.
shaken up after seeing Fua
Yeah.
barge into Guy's office, and
Yeah,
then he
because
just
he-
like makes him kneel and like shows
He
him
puts him
how
on the
much of a bitch
ground.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fua is in pain in that moment.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, it would have been so easy for them to be like, "So is this why you've been such a bitch lately?" And she'd be like, "Yeah." What, you think I was following this
Well,
guy because I
so-
wanted to?
But that's the thing. Fua knows that it's not the reason. Like Fua knows that she's not like that. That's why he
Yeah.
tries to talk sense into her.
But she doesn't.
And
Listen.
I think it's in the next episode. But okay, so yeah, she doesn't listen. She's in denial. She's stubborn. She's scared. And then we find out the results. Hiden lost. Zaya is buying up majority shares in the company. I'm trying to remember what happened after that. There's a scene, is that at the end though? Where Aruto is leaving the company and vice president and the manager are like, "Why are you leaving? They said we can stay."
And he's like, nah.
And he's like, "Nah." And vice president is like, "Well, I'm staying because I got to see this company through. That's what the previous president wanted." And Aruto's like, "Please take care of the company. I gotta go. I'm out."
I gotta-
He actually goes to plead with Guy though. Guy's like eating his like steak dinner, and
That's
he's
true.
just like
Oh
gloating
yeah.
about his victory, and he's saying, "You know what? Time for me to get rid of all the Humagears.
Yeah,
I'm going to
taunting
start
him.
with the closest one near me, which was
Oh, yeah.
Izu."
That's what I have here.
And then I think he like hacks Guy or like tries to force Guy to go in and kill
Fua.
Izu. Oh, sorry, Fua.
Guy hacks
Fua,
Fua, yeah.
He hacks Fua to try and kill Izu, right?
Okay, actually, so I pulled up the episode on the side so we can get the order right. So now I'm smart.
Uh-huh.
So actually, so it's the call between the vice president and Naruto. Then it's that scene in the rain with Fua and Jin that we talked about that we thought was last episode,
Okay.
where Hirobi shows up.
Right.
Since this makes more sense because we already know that the chip is the
Right.
Natsugo, right? Remember? So then that happens. We've talked about that. Then it's Naruto going to beg Guy while he's eating his steak dinner.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. So he goes to beg, and that doesn't work
right.
out.
Yeah.
Fua's like under Guy's control through Naki, basically, and is like, you could tell he's struggling with it, but it's like you've been ordered to kill Izu kind of thing.
Yeah, and then he's not doing it, and then Yaiba's like, "Oh, fine, I'll do it," or he's like, "Yaiba, go ahead," and she fucking transforms into Fighting Jackal and tries to fucking kill Izu.
Doesn't she like full on slap Izu in the face at one point, or like push her down?
I think so.
Yes.
And we
Somebody
were all like
hits
appalled.
Izu.
It was Yaiba. I think
was
that was one of the
probably- it
things
was
that
probably
me and
Yaiba.
Jesse were like, "That bitch."
Right. So then they're fighting. The fighting goes outside. Naruto is trying to protect Izu. Both Fighting Jackal and Bowser are trying to kill Izu.
It
He
was
won,
Bowser.
taking so
It
many
was Guy
shots.
who hit her.
Yeah,
It was
Guy did.
Guy.
Okay.
It wasn't Yaiba. It was Guy.
So they're fighting. Guy's got Naruto.
It's Yaiba.
Okay, there. It's Yaiba. So they're
Yeah.
fighting. Guy's kind of kicking Naruto's ass, and he's got him on the ground with like his foot on him. And then Fua shows up, and Yaiba's behind her, about to like try to do a finisher, and Naruto's like, "Izu, run!" And then Fua shows up, and Guy's like, "Shoot her," and he's like, "Understood," and then he goes, and instead shoots Yaiba to like deflect the finisher, and then
doesn't he like stop the attack with his shot rise though?
yes, you're right. He blocks the fucking finisher with his shot riser. Not even Henshin.
That was really cool.
Before he Enshins, right? Cause then
Yes. Then he pulls out this device that I think we saw him get from Guy.
All the
which
while
is-
giving that speech about, you know, how he's gonna find a dream of his own someday, and
how he's been
like-
influenced by the Humagear, by Aruto,
And he fucking
bunch of flashbacks.
angers that shit open.
Yeah, and
Slaps
got a
it in shot right
it's got a spinning
Yes.
thing on it,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
reminds me of
Spins.
of the dual
yeah,
shots.
the dual good shots.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have
a little
that
bit.
vibe. Yeah.
So it spins, he puts it up, it says all rise. And
It also when he clicks it, it says Rampage Bullet.
yeah. So it's Rampage Vulcan or Rampaging Vulcan or something.
Yeah.
And we basically find out where all the powers that Bowser Jacked has gone to into this key, and Vulcan / Fua gets the power of all of the jacked animal.
We
All of-
see
yeah.
a shit ton of CGI animals just
All of-
swarming in.
Basically, all of the animals that Aruto had keys for.
Yeah, they all
plus
come out and start.
Scorpion.
Yeah, they all come out and start hitting Fua's body and like Iron Man's onto him
Yeah, he
and
gets,
to build
he gets
the
hit
suit.
by the bullets, and he just like in armor
And
shows up. It's super badass.
we get one of the coolest forms we've seen so far of Kamen Rider Rampage Vulcan.
Then
He's
he-
got like way more than one like main attack or finishing attack too. He's
Yeah.
got
Oh,
yeah,
like
so
different themed ones.
He's got like element,
he
strength,
chooses-
speed.
Yeah, he's got power, speed, element. I think that's it. It's power, speed,
Actually,
element, rampage.
You know, that's also kind of like, speaking of the dual Gashat,
It's kind of like
Perfect Puzzle.
Because he can choose which ones he wants to use.
Yeah.
And different animals are in the different like power brackets.
And he just looks so cool. Like he's yellow and gold, but then one side of his face is all the colors of the animals.
It's
as,
really
like, his
cool when
fur.
you see him like transform, and half of the helmet is like it looks
Gone.
empty, nothing's like
Yeah.
there, and then it goes and it's got all the rainbow colors of all the animals, and it looks super cool.
Also, when he does his finisher, and it's so powerful that the wing on his back has to
He has to-
shoot
he
into
has
the
to
ground to
brace
stabilize himself. Yeah.
So cool.
I really like when he goes into his power setting, like even the whole like camera work around it and everything. Like his feet just like sink into the concrete floor and
he's
like
he- 'cause
break it,
he's fucking
crack it.
Geiger heavy, mammoth heavy.
So
Fucking
cool.
it's the coolest form I think on the show.
It's
right
one of
now.
my favorites of all time right
The
now.
fact that he took on Thouser and just kind of brushed him off so he can face Yua and talk some sense into her
Yeah.
was like super cool because he just kind of like tosses Thouser aside
It's
with like his,
whatever.
the cheetah.
Oh, yeah.
Like he
He's-
did like a
yeah.
speed rampage blast or whatever it's called, the rampage speed blast with
Yeah.
the cheetah key or the cheetah power, not the key,
Mhm.
and just like tosses Thouser aside. And then when he fights Yaiba, like it's probably the coolest action sequence we've seen. Like like when he's like shattering the ground around, he like stomps her into the air and like
It's so cool. It's such
It's
a
really
good
good.
like you.
I think he breaks her scythe too. I think he just like punches through it in his power form.
probably
Yeah, he
Breaks it in half.
nuts. And we're saying it's like one of the best looking in the series so far. Like that's saying something considering how good everything in this
Yeah.
series looks.
absolutely.
And like he's trying to knock some sense into Yaiba too, like the whole time, which
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
He just wants her to come to her senses.
Yeah. Yeah. So the remainder of this episode is that fight finishes. It's like a little news thing that says that Saya acquired hidden intelligence, and Guy like kicks everything off the counter, the table, desk,
The desk.
puts his own name as his, president. He's the president. He's got the 01 driver and everything. And then after that, we have the scene that we were talking about with
we
Naruto on the bridge and the vice president, and the manager.
We also see Izu is offline in
Yeah.
the secret lab area.
Yeah, she's shut down in the secret lab.
Yeah.
With Guy holding the 01 driver, all smug and
Yeah.
stuff.
No, it's also in the secret lab, like next to her.
No, he's holding it at first. He's got it on the desk with him, and he's like.
Oh, okay.
But then,
I
yeah,
remember
we do
seeing
later
the scene
see
of it on the table.
that might be in the next episode.
Maybe. I wanted to say, this is the second time Guy created a key that is used exclusively to kick his ass.
That guy's a fucking idiot.
First, he made Metal Cluster Hopper, and he got his ass kicked. Now he made Rampaging Bullet, and got his ass kicked by it again. His plans keep backfiring on him. It's amazing.
He's too cocky.
Yeah.
So like for Metal Cluster, he was hoping that was just going to block off 01's abilities.
Yeah.
Which he did for like an episode or
He
two.
underestimated Aruto and the Humagear.
And he underestimated Fua too. It's just, yeah.
He really underestimated Fua. I also wrote Fua as the main writer now.
Yeah, well.
Rampaging Bullet, Rampaging Vulcan is clearly not clearly, but it has the airs of a main writer.
Final form,
Or power up
exactly.
form.
It has all the
such
powers.
a main writer thing to get. So, I mean, it's pretty cool that Fua got it. Honestly,
I like that they grouped the animals for Rampage Vulcan into like categories. So the element category has like polar bear, which is like ice, tiger, which is fire.
Yeah.
And I guess scorpion is an element because poison is an element.
I think so, yeah.
And then the power form is probably, the gorilla, the mammoth.
Yeah. The speed is cheetah and hornet.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And probably Falcon too. Falcon's probably in the speed form.
Yeah. We haven't seen all of them necessarily, but
it is pretty neat that it's like
super
grouped.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's well thought out.
Put them in different orders, and it's super cool. Yeah, they put a lot of thought into it for sure. It's such a cool form.
I just skimmed through the whole episode. I can give like a brief summary if you want, and then we can talk about it and have like the actual for the next episode.
Go for it.
Give me 1 sec.
Ooh.
I'm gonna / marker.
So this is episode 31. It's called "Take Off Toward Your Dream." Right? No, that's the next episode.
30.
30.
This is episode 30. It's called "After All, I Am the President and a Kamen Rider." So I like to turn on one. Okay, but I do have the right episode pulled up, I believe. Where is it?
I can start it off.
Yeah. No, we're good. I'm good.
Okay.
So it starts off with like a scene of like a couple of like teenage girls walking by and like getting scared by a just dead Humagear body in the trash.
Just in the trash.
Offline like a base Humagear. They're like, oh, I thought that was a person. Anyways, then they leave, and then you see Aruto come by and like pick it up and put it on his bike to like take it somewhere. So it seems like he's salvaging Humagear and trying to presumably repair them, because what else is he gonna do?
The fact that people are throwing Humagear in the
It's-
garbage.
In the trash. This like high tech.
Yeah, it's
like Marvel, and they're just
Aren't
like,
these
oh,
things
just,
expensive?
Yeah,
Like how
of
cheap
course.
are Humagear that you can just like throw them in
yeah,
the
and
trash?
then just like in the garbage. Like, what the heck?
then we get a scene of blah blah blah. What's his name? Guy. He's like on a
He's on a talk show.
talk show.
Oh yeah.
It's like called The Presidents or something, and he's on there, and they're asking about him acquiring Hiden, and he's saying how Humagears are dangerous, so we're discontinuing them. So we then we see that Aruto is like at Daybreak Town, and he's actually watching that show on his Rise phone.
Yeah, he wheeled the carcass of the Humagear to Daybreak Town because I think he intended to talk to Jin.
Yeah,
He
and then
was planning on meeting him there.
exactly, who does show up to talk to him, and like they go back and forth, like Aruto kind of trying to show Jin that like they have similar ideals,
They have the
and
same
Jin's
goal.
not too. They have the same goal. Jin's not too sure. He doesn't trust that
Yeah, Jin doesn't trust in
Aruto
Aruto.
means it.
They're both kind of depressed. Like neither one of
yeah.
them wanted things to end out the way it did. So
Yeah.
like all the Humagear are deactivated, which is absolutely not what Jin wanted. Like he feels defeated, like almost just as defeated as Aruto. And they're
Yeah,
both like,
absolutely.
well, this sucks, you know?
Yeah, and then it cuts back to like the the talk show, and like they ask what they're gonna do, what guy is gonna do with the Humagear data, and he's like, I'm gonna erase all that data. It's like, no, fuck you. And at the same time, Yaiba and two Zaya Goonies or Ames Goonies show up where Naruto and Jin are, and
Yeah, they're from
they
Ames.
all, yeah, whatever. But I mean, Ames is basically Zaya at this point.
Yeah.
But at this point, did Jin and Naruto already have like their whole conversation? Because
They had a
that's
whole
not-
conversation with flashbacks and everything.
Yeah, because Jin does in that conversation tell Naruto that, listen, like, because of you, I am who I am right now,
Yeah,
right?
something
And
like that.
he like explains that like you made me realize that like my goal isn't to rule over my friends like
Yeah.
like you humans do. I want to free them, and I want to be better than the humans.
Yeah.
And then
That's what he
Naruto's
tells
like,
Naruto,
me too.
Yeah, Naruto's like, yeah, that's exactly the same thing I want.
And he says, you know, I was raised like my father was a Humagear,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I know that Humagears have souls and like all that stuff, which Jin doesn't necessarily like. He kind of like, I think he's shocked at the revelation. I don't think he knew that Naruto's dad was a Humagear, but he's also like reluctant to accept what Naruto has to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens. The other people show up. Jin henshins, which is always super fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Fua shows up, and Yaba's like, "How are you here?" He's like, "Oh, I'm a former captain of Ames," and she's like, "Oh, you hacked into our comms."
That's where you find out that Fua left Ames.
Yeah. So he henshins into Rampage. Oh, it's actually Rampage Gatling. It says when he presses
Rampage Gat, is it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
have it right
okay.
here.
All right.
So he henshins into Rampage. Falcon. Fua becomes fighting Jackal. They fight. Jin fights the other two Ames guys.
Yeah, so the Ames officers now have their own like generic Raid Riser like transformations. They don't look great, but they're just like generic like soldier forms.
Maybe it's just me, but I like them.
They're like fine,
Yeah.
but they're like I think they're just under designed. They just look like soldier types, you know?
Well, yeah, they look like fodder, and they are.
Yeah,
but
well, that's it.
They're kind of cool.
They look fine for what they are. They're just nothing special.
So they're fighting. Jin beats the two goons. While Fua is fighting Yaiba using all kinds of cool attacks. And then Jin's like, "Okay, well, I'm leaving. Bye," and he flies away. And then Yaiba's like, "Oh fuck! Get everyone go after him." So they all run away to chase after Jin, and then Fua starts running in, and Naruto like kind of confronts him about Zaya controlling him, about what happened when he was like he attacked them and didn't have control. I'm trying to see what Fua says.
I think
Fua doesn't actually answer. He just says nothing.
Yeah, and
sounds
then
like
after
Fua.
that whole sequence, we cut away to like Guy at the hidden like secret lab, and it turns out that Naruto and Jin are actually pretty smart, because the whole reason that Naruto went to go see Jin was to ask him a favor, right?
Yeah. First, it's just Guy in the office with the vice president and the manager just kissing his ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
awful.
fucking annoying.
It's gross.
And then Yaiba calls Guy and like Jin escaped. So then he goes to check the room. He's like, "Oh fuck!" And you see the room with a little flash. The room with Izu and the 01 driver in there, and then they open it up and they're gone. So they got played.
And then we also find out that because he wanted to actually delete all the Humagear data, right? He's like, okay, it's fine that those two things are gone, because we're just gonna delete the Humagear data anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And he tells Yaiba to do that. He goes, "Okay, erase all the data," and she says, "Yes, sir." And then we go back to Naruto and Fua talking about it. It seems like we skipped the exposition dump that we already knew. So Fua's like, "Yeah, I won't let them control me though. I'll do what I want."
Right. Is it after that we go to like where Naruto is like his hideout is, where he brings the offline Humagear, and Jin shows up with Izu.
With Izu, yes, that's exactly it.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And he's like, "Oh, I can't get it to turn on though." And Archer's like, okay, I got her data and her key.
He's got her progress key.
Yeah, and in parallel, at the same time, we find out that wait a second, there's no Humagear data in Zaya.
No, that's a little bit after this.
A little bit after.
I think it's in parallel. It's like almost. I think timeline chronologically, it happens probably at the same time.
No, because
maybe
after they turn Izu on. Sorry, Guy shows up, right?
No turn. Oh, so what happens?
Not right away.
No. So this is exactly what happens here. So they turn Izu on. She gets up and then she goes, Aruto-sama, and we're like, what the hell?
Right.
That's not what you call him. But he's not the president anymore. And then Jin grabs her. He's like, okay, we're leaving. So he runs out with her.
That's right.
And Aruto's chasing after. He's like, wait. And then that's so Izu and Jin are talking, and Jin's like, you can be free, you can do that. But she's like, Izu obviously hasn't hit singularity. She doesn't really understand. She's like, but this is my job. I'm a secretary. I'm the president's secretary.
That's it. This is what I am supposed to do.
And Jin's like, I'm autonomous. I'm not connected to either Zaya or Arc. You could do the same. But she doesn't get it. And Izu comes out, and Aruto comes out and talks to them, and that's when Guy shows up.
Okay.
Aruto immediately agrees with Jin too, which is pretty great.
He's like, yes, she can do what she wants.
Yeah.
I'm not forcing her to be with me. I agree.
Yeah.
But and that's when Guy shows up with this.
But yeah, so that means that Guy must have at that point found out that the data is not in Zaya because
it happens a little later.
Yeah.
Well, because he leaves to go retrieve the data.
You're right. I missed it. You're right. I must have missed it.
Otherwise, he would have no reason to go chase after. He finds out prior to that Satellite Zaya has no data, so it must have been stolen along with the other stuff.
I'm skimming through and I'm not seeing it, but I did see it earlier. There's a part where Yaiba calls him and is like, there's no data. The data's gone.
Oh, I remember. He answers on his phone. He's like all smug about it.
Yeah, so that's when he kind of choppers his way in to be like, all right,
that was
give me the
this
data.
moment. You're right. He's there with his two Ames men threatening to kill Izu and Jin.
Yeah, I'm not finding the scene, but yeah, that does happen.
So
then, yeah,
he's like threatening to shut them off. He has the Ames guys shoot, and
they shoot Aruto with a real ass gun.
He jumps in the way, but yeah, they do shoot with an actual assault rifle, I believe, at Aruto.
Yeah, it looks like he gets killed.
He takes the bullet for Izu.
Like actually right to the heart too.
Yeah.
And he's on the ground and Izu goes like, Aruto. And he gets up, he's like, ha, I had all these keys and it blocks the bullet.
He's got a vest of all of the keys for all of the Humagear.
Which I'm pretty sure at this point we know have all the data from Satellite Zaya.
Yeah.
It is pretty interesting to note that there's a half a dozen or a dozen progress key that contain all the data for all the Humagear in existence.
I think it's a suspension of disbelief thing where these are the important Humagear, and then there's or maybe there's just not that many. I don't know.
They're
weird.
Main types of Humagear.
Yeah,
and
that's probably what it
is. Used multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So I'm assuming Jin fights the two Ames goonies. And Aruto tries to henshin into 01, but he's not the president anymore, and it's not authorizing. And he's trying, and it's not working. And Thouser just starts beating him up while he's unhenshined, and he just can't transform. And the whole time, Izu's standing there, and she's processing and processing
trying
and
to
processing.
figure out what to do.
She doesn't know what to do or what's going on. So Thouser decides, well, I'm going to just hit you with a finisher. So he goes and charges it up, uses it towards Izu. Aruto jumps in front again, and it's a big explosion. Thouser's like, haha, I got you. Thinks he's so smug. And then you just see 01 transform, in Rising Hopper, I think.
Yeah, in
Rising Hopper form, saying his catchphrase to him. The only one that could stop
you is me.
Yeah.
Is me.
Even when he showed up, he actually... You see that before the finisher hits, he starts to henshin, and it actually works. But I guess Thouser didn't notice that. And he's like, "How did you henshin?" And then he does, "Yeah, the only one that could stop you is me."
And we find out that that whole time what Easy was doing was starting a new company for Aruto to be the president of. We find out at the same time that Aruto inherited the rights to the Humagear and all of the technology that Hiden had. So while Guy owns Hiden, he doesn't own any of the Humagear.
Yeah, because it's in Aruto's name.
Rights. Yeah.
Yeah, not the company's.
It all belongs to Aruto. Which is why the 01 driver works.
Yeah, because he's the president.
He's the president of the Humagears, not of the Hiden Intelligence, which is a very slight distinction.
Yeah. I mean, after all, he is the president and a Kamen Rider.
I wrote Aruto is still the people's CEO.
Yeah, and then there's a little bit of a conversation between Hirobi and Jin again.
Is there?
Yeah, he's like, did you plan for this? I see you got a new friend, and then Jin's like, I'm not friends with 01.
Oh yeah, that was a nice little moment.
And
because
then
he does say that like 01's actually pretty capable, isn't he?
Yeah.
And then Hirobi's like, oh, your buddy over there? He's like, he's not my buddy.
He's not my friend, guy.
Yeah. And then we cut to the new Hiden manufacturing company that they made.
Yeah.
Where Aruto's cataloging all the AI progress keys. And then they do a joint Arutoja Naito, which was cute.
Just like a little
and they point at each other.
It's nice. It's nice to see everything worked out mostly.
Yeah, after those other two episodes, which were really rough to watch, aside from Rampage Vulcan, because that shit was awesome, this one was a nice one.
Yeah, my only thing to say about this one is like at the beginning of this, like it showed kind of like an advertisement or something, like you heard like an audio ad maybe over the radio or something of guys saying, you know, oh, return your Humagears and you'll get like a free Zaya spec.
Yeah.
Instead, and I was like, you know what? Like,
I think that was during the president's interview thing.
If I was like an owner of a Humagear and you offered me a shitty fucking Zaya spec in replacement of the Humagear, I would be so pissed.
I'd be pissed. I'd be like, okay, I have this thing that does things for me.
Yeah, now I have to do it.
I worded that wrong. I have this person who helps me do things, and now I have to do it alone?
Yeah, like literally having a pair of extra hands helping you with whatever the task is versus
I can
just
think,
a shitty,
I can think better
powerful
now.
like PDA that's gonna
like a slightly powerful smartphone, slightly more powerful smartphone.
That's just not a good trade-off.
No, the Humagear are way better companions than a fucking shitty Google Glass.
I'd honestly rather just have my money back at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just give me my money back, please. Also, like, all of the hospitals that had mostly Humagear, like, staff, like what happens? Who replaces all of those Humagears that were staffing the hospitals?
It's a bad
You
time.
can't just replace them with Zaya specs.
Well, yeah, now they're like half staffed and everyone has Zaya specs.
It doesn't even out. That's not
It's
even.
bad.
Yeah, it's awful. Okay, next episode 31 time.
Yeah. So episode 31 is called "Take Off Toward Your Dream."
That's the one.
That's the right name
That's
for
the
this
right
episode.
Title name.
And this one starts out at Hiden Manufacturing, still figuring stuff out when Izu tells Aruto that we actually got some customers already, and then the manga artist comes in from way back when with a box and wheels in G-Pen. He says, "Hey, I need you to turn him back on. I need G-Pen. He's my assistant or whatever."
Is my something like that.
He writes popular mangas now.
And the whole like shift between like the first time we see these characters and this time where we're seeing them is like now the episode arc basically just hinges on whether or not Humagears are going to want to continue doing their job after.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so basically the manga artist leaves G-Pen in Naruto's care. Naruto turns him on and he says, "Do you want to go work with the manga artist?" And I think he's not connected to Zaya at this point, and he's
they
like, I
can't
don't
connect to
understand.
Zaya.
I'm not connected. What do I don't know what
So-
to do. I don't know what I want.
There's a cutaway scene before that happens where we find out that
No.
guy.
After this happens, I'm looking at it.
I have it written before that, but okay.
It's kind of because the stuff with G-Pen continues on for like almost the whole episode. That's probably why. But so G-Pen wakes up and says, "Oh, I can't connect to Zaya. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do." Then it
Pretty
cuts
funny
away.
because it reminds me of like, you know, when your phone disconnects from a network and you like walk outside and you're like holding it up.
Yeah.
because he's looking up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's doing that.
He's doing that with his own body. He's just like walking outside, like, signal, please.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty great.
it cuts to Yaiba and Guy in like the Zaya printer room.
The secret lab.
Yeah, the secret lab. And I was like, yeah, we can't access satellite data. There's no connection. And then guy's just like, no matter what, I'm gonna destroy Aruto's company. Which then we cut back to G-Pen, who's outside trying to get a signal, and Aruto and Izu. And then Jin shows up because he wants to free the Humagear, and he still doesn't believe that Aruto wants the same thing. So he fights with Aruto, who fights in Rising Hopper for him for some reason. So he gets his ass kicked because Rising Hopper can't compare to Jin at this stage.
Well, I think that reason is he doesn't actually want to fight.
He doesn't
want
to fight Jin, yeah.
Jin from attacking him.
And then we see Jin fly away with G-Pen. He literally grabs him and they fly away. So Aruto and Izu then go see the mangaka, the manga artist. And he's like, G-Pen can't be your assistant anymore. Well, but whatever. And then the artist explains that he doesn't actually want him to be his assistant. He wants him to be his own independent, full-blown manga writer. He thinks he's capable of it now. Yeah, he wants him to debut.
I misinterpreted my own notes is what happened.
So he's like, oh yeah, he started coming up with new ideas and they're really good and I want him to debut. So Naruto realizes that even the manga artist wants G-Pen to be his own person. So he resolves to try to find G-Pen and bring him back. So then while this is going on, Jin's like following G-Pen, who's just wandering around trying to be able to connect to Zaya, and he's like, don't you want to achieve singularity and be your own person? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, and Jin just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And
Jin didn't realize how hard it would be to get the Humagear to think for themselves.
And meanwhile, G-Pen's walking around and there's people that are seeing him. They're like, oh, a Humagear's out and about. And they're all scared of him.
He freezes in that crowd and kind of spots like a billboard advertisement of a manga and just like stares at it and starts contemplating.
It might be the mangaka's manga that he saw, which would make sense why he would
I think it was.
Look at it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then they cut to Yaiba and he's telling Guy like, oh, a Humagear has been spotted. Sorry. And he's like, oh, that must be Aruto's doing. Go destroy it. So she's like, okay, understood. Meanwhile, Aruto's looking to find G-Pen, and Hirobi confronts Jin, and he's like, look, this is what happens when you don't connect to anything. We need the arc to show us the way, basically. And Jin's like, no, it doesn't actually want that.
Nah, no, that's not true.
Yeah, he's like, Humagear's neither network. He's like, why? And what are you gonna do with it? It's just a small little conversation. And then of course both Aruto and Yaiba show up at G-Pen at the same time, where then we see he's looking at that billboard. So
yeah,
then Aruto's there. Yeah, by Yaiba and Abe's, because it seems like every time now they're always accompanied by two Ames goons. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they've been the same two every time. I haven't.
They have been. We've even seen them earlier in the series. It's the same two guys that she was the captain, or that Fuwa was the captain of. But yeah, it's the same like group. She has the same team.
So Yaiba's, is trying to say that, Yaiba's waiting because Aruto's talking at him, and the two goons are like, permission to fire, and she's not saying anything. And Aruto's trying to be like, G-Pen, do you want to go be a manga artist? Whatever his name wants you to debut as your own independent artist. And then Jin is watching this. He's like, really? He doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe that anyone would want to give a Humagear their own free will.
Well, just as importantly, Yaiba's watching this too, and she kind of slowly puts her gun down, and she's hesitating because Aruto's talking about how G-Pen's not a tool. He keeps reiterating that you're not a tool. You're a person with hopes and dreams, and that kind of strikes a tone with Yua because she's been abused by guys so much into believing that she herself is a tool.
She keeps being called a tool, like literally. So it's
So I think there's the moment where she probably relates to G-Pen for a second. It's like the first time that she actually defies guys.
Yeah,
order to kill G-Pen.
She tells him not to shoot, and then she goes back to Guy and says, "I did." He's like, "Why didn't you do it?"
He was pissed.
Yo,
he was mad.
Did he hit her?
So she said, "Why didn't you do it? I determined no hostility towards humans." And he's still like, "If I tell you to destroy something, destroy it."
He banged his desk or did something.
And then he says, "Don't forget that you're my tool." And then she's like, and then it turns to them. Oh yeah. So then they're walking out. Of the building. They're in the parking garage, whatever. And Fua shows up, and it's like trying to tell Yaiba that to stop following her, that it's following Guy, that he's a dick. And Guy's like, I don't have time for you, and tells Yua to deal with it.
Yeah.
So Fua takes out his rampage, whatever it's called, and goes, "You hate to see it."
It's the best. It's the best subtitle because I'm pretty sure that's not what he said, but I love it.
We're putting an image of that on screen too.
Yeah, I have it somewhere for sure already.
So Yaiba and Fua fight, but they start fighting, and as they're fighting, we see Guy show up at Aruto's new company, telling him that fuck Humagears. Humagears don't need dreams. You're stupid.
Doesn't he offer to buy the company or buy
I think he does,
the Humagear and everything? Yeah,
he's trying to get the rights. He's like, just sell it to me. Come on, man.
Just sell it.
So everyone henshins. It's Thouser and two goons versus Metal Cluster Hopper. So we got basically two fights literally going on at the same time.
Also, the fight song going on right now, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I wrote down it's really cool. It's a really good fight song. I'll have to go back and listen to it. So, just for posterity's sake, it's a good fight song.
Then it cuts back to Yua and Fua fighting, and then we actually get a interesting shot of the assault wolf key at the belt of Fua, and Yaiba on the floor, and then they keep fighting, and she runs up to him and gets destroyed and dehensions. He's like, well, I don't remember what he says. He's like, I'll face you until the end of time. As many times as you want to fight me, I'll beat you.
That's what he promises to fight her until she wakes up.
Yeah.
Until she realizes. Yeah.
And then he walks away, and then you see that you grabbed the assault wolf key. I don't really know what that's gonna do.
We don't know yet, unfortunately.
Maybe they got plans for it, but
maybe
he doesn't really
setting up
need
some sort of Valkyrie upgrade. I don't know.
I don't know. Goes back to the other fight that's going on. It's basically 1v3 for
Aruto
versus Aruto, and they all start doing their finishers on him when Jin shows up and actually defends Aruto from the finishers and kicks their ass.
Yep.
Which was good to see.
It was nice.
So he's starting to realize that Aruto does actually want the same thing. But he's not quite giving. He's still not 100%.
He's like, yeah, maybe you're okay.
But he's like, I might still fucking kill you though. And then they Jin just destroys the two goons, and then they team up on Thouser, which they really shouldn't need to. One of them theoretically, Thouser hasn't had any upgrades. There's no reason that they shouldn't be able to beat him. But it's Kamen Rider.
Yep.
And they double finisher him, and it destroys him.
Power wise, they're probably each one of them is kind of on par with. I guess Metal Cluster Hopper is stronger than Thouser.
We've seen both of them destroy Thouser on their own.
But we've seen
Jin and Thouser.
Jin fight to a stalemate.
Yeah.
Okay, but we've seen Metal Cluster Hopper wipe the ground with Thouser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then The guy's all fucked up,
He's
and like
pissed.
he's pissed, and like the
So
Ames guys try to help him up. He's like, "Don't touch me," and then he
He's
just like
so
limps
mad.
away.
It's so good.
It's really
The
good.
guy limp is my favorite.
It's a good limp. It's so satisfying.
He's got his own brand of limp. It's so good.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, he is. I have to admit.
Yeah. Then it cuts to the manga artist place where we see G-Pen working on some manga and everyone's happy. And I think it goes back to Aruto going into the office and he's getting a call from the manga artist. Like, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad everything's going well. Awesome." And then so they had gotten that other Humagear fixed up, but just needed a key to have a personality.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, "Oh, I know just the one," and he makes it Shesta.
He's a Shesta's key.
And Shesta basically says, "You know what? For
Yeah.
this occasion, maybe we need something different."
She's like, "I'm not the president's secretary. Hold on, let's change this." And she becomes, to celebrate the setting up of President Aruto's new company, becomes festival entertainer Matsuhida Z, the
dancing assassin Chan.
dancing Chan.
It's
And
great.
he takes off he's not wearing very much,
You know,
just some
basically,
underwear,
like, a shirt and some underwear.
and Naruto dances with him and says some puns, and him and the assassin guy do the Naruto John Naito together.
Really great.
And then Izu explains the joke and how good it was, how high level of skill the joke was.
Classic.
Yeah, and
that's the end of the episode.
It dances the end. They all dance together. God, the actress that plays Izu is so good. Where she's like dancing, but one of her arms is still in its normal position.
She's really good at being Izu. I have to admit.
Yep, and that's it. That's the episodes we watched.
That's all of them.
Key takeaways: Rampage Vulcan is the coolest thing in the world.
Yes.
Guy is still the worst thing in the world.
Correct.
And I'm still extremely disappointed in Yaiba, even though I understand all the points you have told us, Zach, and that she's not having a good time. I'm still disappointed, and I can't make myself accept the things that she does.
That's totally fine.
It does seem like that's also coming to an end. We saw her defy Guy for the first time, so
she's starting now to be like, maybe.
I think Guy is gonna be done with soon. I don't think he stays until the end. I don't think he's the ultimate villain. I also kind of know some spoilers, but I don't know how it fits in at all. I know.
I can tell you that.
I know one thing that makes me believe this.
I know all the answers.
But I think Guy's in the revolving door now on his way out.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We really, really appreciate you. If you're watching this live, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel where we upload the episodes 1 week later. So next Sunday, this episode will go up at 1 p.m. EST. So go over to the YouTube channel, A Giant Robot TV. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. It means a lot. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can watch us record these episodes live over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/agiantrobot, every Sunday at 5 p.m. EST, more or less. And don't forget to go and follow me there. I also do gameplay and everything. You can follow me on Twitter if you don't like using other social media. It's also just at A Giant Robot. And we have a Discord server that should be easily accessible either on YouTube or my Twitch page.
Yeah, I was gonna plug the Discord server. We have a Tokusatsu/anime channel on there that we use to talk about all things Kamen Rider when we're not talking on the show or on call. We'd love to have more people on there to talk about with.
Absolutely, we're in there all the time. I personally hang out in there like almost all day, every day. So come hang out with us, talk to us.
If you're excited about the new series the name was leaked or the whatever Revice, We'll be talking about anything new that comes up on there. So
Absolutely.
yeah, join us.
All right. I think that's going to be it for us. Thank you once again, everybody who's watching. We appreciate you so much. And we will see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.